Barron Trump had never been one for small talk, but something about the coffee shop that morning made him pause. Sunlight streamed through the window, casting soft beams on the rustic wooden tables. He was tired, drained from the constant pressure of living in the shadow of his last name. Yet as he approached the counter, something shifted. A young woman with dark curly hair and bright eyes greeted him with a warm smile. "Good morning. What can I get for you today?" Her voice, soft yet sincere, was a welcome change from the usual robotic responses he encountered. "Just a black coffee, please," Barron replied, his voice barely above a whisper. It was a simple request, but for the first time in a long while, he didn't feel the need to hide behind his usual walls. The exchange felt real. She noticed the quiet energy about him, and a flicker of curiosity sparked in her eyes. "Are you new around here?" she asked, trying to fill the silence between them. Barron glanced up, meeting her gaze. "I guess you could say that. Just passing through." Her smile grew. "Well, we're glad you stopped by." Barron took his coffee and settled into a corner, trying to ignore the strange feeling that tugged at him. Emma. She was just another stranger in a city full of them, but their brief exchange felt different. For once, it didn't feel like he was being seen through the lens of his last name. It felt real, and that was rare. It wasn't long before Emma joined him at his table, sitting down without asking. She seemed to sense his need for company. "You know," she began, breaking the silence, "most people would probably avoid sitting here if they saw someone like you." Barron raised an eyebrow. "Someone like me?" "Yeah, someone with a face you can't forget. A name everyone knows," she explained. "But not you. You're different." Barron looked down at his coffee, the bitterness matching his mood. "Being different doesn't always feel like a good thing," he said quietly. Emma's eyes softened. "I get it. The world doesn't make it easy to just be yourself, but you can't run from who you are." Barron met her gaze. For the first time in a long while, he felt like someone wasn't just seeing the Trump name, they were seeing him. Not the legacy, but the person who struggled under it. "I don't know who I am anymore," Barron admitted, his voice quieter than usual, carrying a vulnerability that felt foreign. Emma leaned back, thinking for a moment. "Sometimes, the hardest thing is to stop looking for answers in other people's expectations. Maybe you just need to live. Let go of the rest." Barron smiled slightly, surprised by her bluntness, but grateful for it. "You make it sound simple." "It can be," she said with a shrug. "The trick is realizing you don't have to live for anyone else, just for yourself." In the days that followed, Barron found himself returning to the cafe not for the coffee, but for Emma. Her words replayed in his mind, like a quiet mantra, and something inside him began to shift. He started questioning everything, the expectations, the identity he had built around himself. Could he really just be? One rainy afternoon, Barron sat at their usual table, staring out at the downpour. The weight of the world still pressed on him, but there was something oddly calming about the steady rhythm of the rain. Emma appeared, a rare smile lighting up her face. She held 2 cups of coffee, setting one in front of him. "Thought you might like some company," she said. "I didn't think you'd still want to talk to me," Barron replied, his voice tight with the familiar knot of anxiety. Emma sat across from him. "Why wouldn't I? You're just a person, Barron. Not a name or a story people tell. Just you." He looked at her for a long moment. "I don't know who I am anymore. Sometimes it feels like I'm just a name, and the world sees nothing but that." Her gaze softened, understanding in her eyes. "You can be more than that, but you have to let go of the idea that you're defined by something you can't control. Don't live for others, live for yourself." The words hit Barron harder than he expected. For the first time in years, he felt like someone truly understood not just the weight of his family name, but the person he was trying to become. That night, Barron couldn't sleep. His thoughts kept him tossing and turning. The rain outside grew louder, a storm echoing his inner unrest. He needed air, a break from the suffocating pressure of his life. He slipped out of his apartment, walking the quiet streets of Los Angeles. It was then, in the stillness of the night, that he encountered a woman, a homeless woman sitting on the curb, her face weathered by age and hardship. She looked up at him, her eyes full of a wisdom that caught him off guard. "Can I help you?" she asked, her voice raspy but kind. Barron hesitated before sitting down beside her. "I don't know. I'm lost, I guess." She studied him for a long moment, then nodded. "I was lost once too. But you can always find your way back. The trick is to stop searching for answers everywhere else. They're already inside you." Her words resonated deeply. For the first time in a long while, Barron felt a spark of hope. "Thank you," he said quietly, standing up. "I think I'm starting to understand." From that moment on, Barron began to change. It wasn't a sudden transformation, but every day as he embraced his own identity, he began to release the suffocating grip of expectation. He returned to the cafe regularly, each time with a growing sense of purpose. Emma noticed the change. "Looks like someone's figured it out," she said one morning, her smile wide with approval. Barron grinned back. "I think I have." Emma's eyes sparkled. "Good for you, Barron. It's not about impressing anyone. It's about living for yourself." As Barron walked into the morning sunlight, he felt lighter. For the first time, he wasn't just Barron Trump, the name everyone knew. He was Barron, the person someone who could now live for himself. As he stepped onto the street, the world around him seemed quieter. The hum of the city was still there, but it no longer felt suffocating. Barron stood at a crossroads not just physically, but in his life, in his identity. The weight of his name had started to fade, replaced by something more important, his own sense of self. The freedom he had sought didn't come from breaking away from the world. It came from understanding who he was beyond the noise. He had always been told who he was supposed to be, how he should act, and what was expected of him. But in those quiet moments between cups of coffee and unexpected conversations, Barron had realized something new. It wasn't about meeting others' expectations. It was about breaking free from them, allowing himself the space to grow. That night, as he wandered through the rainy streets, lost and uncertain, Barron had met a woman who had lived through hardship yet held wisdom in her eyes. Her words, simple yet profound, had stuck with him. "The answers are already inside you." It wasn't an epiphany, but it was a realization that changed him. The only validation he needed was his own. He didn't need to fit anyone else's mold. He needed to create his own. As Barron walked down the sidewalk, he felt lighter, no longer burdened by the constant pressure to be someone he wasn't. The road ahead wouldn't be easy, but for the first time in years, Barron felt at peace. What does Barron's story teach us about the weight of expectations, the struggle to find oneself, and the importance of stepping outside the shadows of others' perceptions? Could it be that true freedom lies in simply being who we really are? Let's keep the conversation going. Subscribe, share, and drop your thoughts below. Your perspective is valuable and might inspire others.